In Munich, China slapped away America's outstretched hand. Munich, the Biden administration came to Munich this weekend eagerly courting a reset with China, but in public and in private, China's top diplomat rejected the overture. Secretary of State Antony Blinken's contentious meeting with State Councilor Wang Yi showed that Beijing is in no mood for detente. As a result, the United States and China are locked in a bitter diplomatic stalemate. After 3 days of Chinese officials spouting insults, accusations, and lies here in Munich, it's clear that Beijing is not in reset mode. That's not the Biden administration's fault, but it is their problem. The behind-the-scenes drama in Munich began well before Blinken's Saturday evening meeting with Wang. Inside the tightly packed Hotel Bayerischer Hof, where the Munich Security Conference was being held, hundreds of senior officials, diplomats, lawmakers, business executives, spies and a few journalists had spent the previous 2 days trading information about the pending meeting and the surrounding dynamics. Despite administration claims to the contrary, the evidence suggests that the Biden team was doing the chasing. For one thing, in the days leading up to the conference, U.S. officials were publicly playing down the incident that started the latest crisis, when a Chinese spy balloon entered U.S. airspace and was subsequently shot down by a U.S. fighter jet. President Biden barely mentioned it in his State of the Union address. Vice President Harris said before arriving in Germany she didn't think it would negatively affect U.S.-China relations. She was wrong. On Thursday, Biden said that he wanted to talk to President Xi Jinping directly. On Friday, a senior Pentagon official told the New York Times that Xi's military likely hid the spy balloon from him, seeming to absolve Xi of direct responsibility. The Chinese government, perhaps looking to pounce on the Biden team's perceived weakness, responded by ramping up its bellicose rhetoric. Beijing tried to turn the tables by claiming that the United States sends spy balloons over China, a claim U.S. officials deny. As of Friday evening, the Chinese side was still refusing to agree to the meeting, fueling the notion that Blinken was the pursuer. Any doubts about the Chinese stance vanished when Wang took the stage Saturday morning. He called the Biden administration's actions related to the spy balloon absurd and hysterical and an abuse of the use of force. Then he implied that Washington is intentionally prolonging the war in Ukraine for its own strategic aims, declaring that some forces don't care about the life and death of Ukrainians. When he wasn't railing against the United States, Wang was urging the assembled Europeans to move away from Washington and closer to Beijing. But Wang flubbed his own charm offensive when former German diplomat Wolfgang Ischinger politely asked him to reassure the audience that a Chinese military escalation in Taiwan was not imminent. Wang declined. "Let me assure the audience that Taiwan is part of Chinese territory. It has never been a country and it will never be a country in the future," he said. The subsequent conversation between Blinken and Wang did not go well. According to the official readout from the U.S. side, Blinken told Wang that Chinese spy balloon overflights must never again occur. Blinken said afterward that Wang offered no apology. Officials told me that Blinken also confronted Wang on China's aid to Russia and threatened unspecified consequences if Beijing were to provide Moscow with lethal aid. Officials won't say whether China has already crossed that line. The Chinese readout bragged that the United States requested the meeting and stated that Wang told Blinken he should acknowledge and repair the damage that its excessive use of force caused to China-U.S. relations, essentially demanding that the United States apologize. U.S. officials now say that the balloon did initially get diverted by wind, but that then Beijing took advantage, as evidenced by its hovering over sensitive U.S. military sites. There was no progress on any of the other issues discussed inside the meeting. There is no plan for Blinken to reschedule his planned trip to Beijing. A Biden-Xi phone call has not been scheduled, although it might still go forward. The bilateral working group suspended after then-Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan in August remain inactive. The next time Blinken and Wang will be in the same place is likely to be at the Group of 20 Foreign Ministers meeting in New Delhi next month. Several congressional aides told me the Biden team's effort to pursue a more stable U.S.-China relationship, while understandable, comes at a cost. When the Biden administration is in courtship mode, the aide said, it backs off from applying pressure on China on a range of issues. Even after the airship incident, the administration continues to sit on a list of competitive actions against China because it wants more high-level diplomatic dialogue, a GOP Senate aide said. Biden's officials continue to leave the door open to Beijing for cooperation on shared challenges such as climate change and North Korea. Even so, the administration, to its credit, won't give China any direct concessions for engaging on these issues. The Biden administration is willing to pursue a reset, just not on Beijing's terms. The lesson of Munich should be that pursuing engagement with China for engagement's sake entails serious risks. True to form, Beijing is again trying to dangle the prospect of smooth relations to distract us from confronting its growing aggression. We must stop falling for it. On the bright side, though, Wang's belligerence and cockiness in Munich seem to have woken up European leaders to the perils of dealing with today's Chinese Communist Party. So Blinken's outreach did have one small victory: at least now the rest of the world can see that the United States is not the obstacle.